Okay, so in here we're making choux pastry. Choux pastry, got 150 millilitres of water and how much butter? 60 grams of butter, and I've got that on the stove on a low heat, melting the butter and bringing the water to the boil. How much flour am I going to put in, ladies and gentlemen? 75 grams of flour. 5 grams. I'm also going to put a pinch of salt in. Why am I putting the salt in? Can anyone tell me? Flour is starch. That's very good. So it needs a little bit of salt in there to enhance the flavour. I've got a wooden spoon. My butter's starting to melt. Can you see that in the pan? The butter's started to melt. I don't want to boil it for too long because I don't want all the water to evaporate. Okay, once it's melted, in goes my flour. A bit like a roux. Hence the word choux, roux. Very similar, yeah, very similar techniques. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook the flour out. What happens when we cook flour? What does it look like? Yeah, it might taste a bit like a biscuit or a cake. What does it look like? We watched it on the slow-mo, guys.
Like popcorn.
Like popcorn, yeah. Each tiny bit of flour pops and swells up. Just like that. And that allows the liquid, or any liquid that we put into it, to get thick. And that's how flour thickens things. So we're using the fat, the butter, to kind of fry the flour, to cook it out, to make it pop like popcorn. Boop. And that is thickening the water. And you can see that happening. When you're making choux pastry, you can see it happening. The lovely old Delia Smith reckons 10 minutes to cook a roux or a choux. 10 minutes. We're cooking it out, it should change colour quite a bit, and we're giving it a good beat as well. Yeah, this is going to develop the gluten in the flour and allow your choux pastry to stretch. If you don't do these things to the choux pastry, it won't cook properly. It will be greasy, or it won't swell up with air. Has a very thickness to it. Okay, it's 2014. Welcome to the future. I'm going to use a bit of technology now.
A whizzer.
A whizzer. Yeah, a food processor, a robo-coupe. So I've got a blade in there. I'm going to give it a bit of a mix, but you can see the steam coming out the top of it, so it's very hot. I've got to put eggs in this now. If I put eggs in it, what's going to happen to the eggs?
Cool it down.
They're going
to rise up.
They're going to scramble eggs. Yeah, they're going to scramble up. So I give it a bit of a whisk, and that should chew it up a bit, so it looks like scrambled eggs itself. Share the love. Yeah. Cooling it down. Back in the days, we used to get it out onto a surface and spread it all out flat and allow it to cool down that way. But what can that do if I'm spreading it out on a surface?
You lose it. And it has like bacteria.
Bacteria can get in there, couldn't it? So in the fridge is a good little place, or in a blast chiller. Blast chiller. Then turn that on. And it's chewed it all up into tiny little bits, and that's what the blender will do. I've taken 3 eggs and I've mixed those together and trying to get a bit of air in them. Okay, now I'm going to pour them in little by little. My mix wants to be nice and thick and hold its own weight. It's different colour now. Yeah, but it holds its own weight. You can see the lines in it. So when I pipe it out, it doesn't just spread.
don't have air bubbles in them.
But hopefully you don't get any air bubbles in it. That's right.
Sweet, bruh.
Cool. So I'm going to put that to one side for the minute. I think I'm going to pop it back in the fridge. Okay, so I dust it with butter and flour. Okay, and then I put some lines on it. So I'm going to go about 5 centimetres. Yeah, I used a knife last time, didn't I? But by using this, it does the same thing. Gives me that same distance.
Yeah, I don't think I saw anyone do that.
So by running my finger, my 2 fingers together, gives me a nice straight line down the tray. So about 5 centimetres in from the edge. And then I do about 10 centimetres. And that gives me 4 lines, guidelines to pipe into. I would just stuff all my lovely, gorgeous choux pastry into it.
I think your ones, like those ones, are better to get the mix out because these struggle with the sauce is like more shiny. It's not so grippy.
What's that?
The blue one, the blue pipe.
Oh, I think the blue ones are better. Disposable, yeah, throw away.
Do you have to wash that one out?
Yeah. You're annoying to wash as well.
So if I was using a blue one, the disposable paper bags, I'd just spin this round, and through the power of centrifugal force, all the liquid, all the paste inside would all go to the end of the bag, and all the air would come out. Okay, but doing it this way, I've just got to make sure that I get all the pastry to the bottom, and I let any air that's in there come out. It's very sticky, so it's sticking itself to the sides of the paper bag. It's a bit of luck really. So I squeeze from the bottom, not from the top, always from the bottom. Put it onto the board. I'm trying to get a straight line. It's not easy.
Yours are massive compared to me. It's like a better church.
Because these are going to expand in the oven, any little nick or unevenness when you're piping it will really show up. If your choux pastry is spreading at this stage as well, it's probably not going to be very good. Okay, so I've done some eclair sizes.
What was that?
Some profiteroles.
Why are they like not sticking?
Because I've made it non-stick, haven't I? Here we go. Profiteroles, they need a little bit of the top just knocking down. If that little peak sits up, it'll burn before the rest of it cooks. We just tap that back in. Also, it'll give us a nice even shape when it rises up as well. On the eclairs, just tidying up those edges, making them a bit neater. Okay, then they're ready straight to go into a really hot oven. When they go in the oven, I'm going to inject some air into the oven, inject some steam into the oven quite a few times, so it keeps them moist, so it allows them to rise a little bit better. Seems to have a few lumps in this.
Such a